Easter egg hunt in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That was us, Anyun, hosting our very first Easter egg hunt. We had so much fun serving 81 kids and their parents, and if you told other Christians that this is how we chose to celebrate the very first Easter of our Christian movement, they might tell you that we are fake Christians, worldly, and worst, demonic. Are they right? As Christians, should we really avoid Easter egg hunt and other events not prescribed in the Bible? Tara, pag-usapan natin. Hi there, welcome to Anyun, where we guide people through their first steps and second chances in building a relationship with Christ. Simply put, we just want to explore new ways to introduce Christ to those who don't know Him and lead people back to Him in case they think that they can't or won't be allowed to. And as I've said kanina, we did an Easter egg hunt. As a very new Christian movement, we wanted to see firsthand if the people we want to reach are existing. And as young parents ourselves, we want to connect with other young parents along with their kids and build a support system where we can all raise our kids in Jesus while we live Christian lives as individuals and partners. And what better way to do it than to invite them and their kids to a fun way to celebrate Easter, the classic Easter egg hunt. But why celebrate Easter this way? Wala naman sa Bible ang Easter egg. And if we want to establish ourselves as a Christian community, hindi ba lahat ng ginagawa natin ay biblical at nakikita sa Bible? Before we talk about that, let's talk about why we even considered organizing this event. Number 1, we saw what the public want to do during this time. Since we are very new and not a lot know about us, we looked for events that parents and kids would be interested to be a part of. That is entertaining, interactive, fun, safe, and most of all, have Christ at the center of it. We came up with an idea to do an Easter egg hunt, but we wanted to be intentional about it. How? Number 2, we recognized the importance of understanding culture to further the mission. Locally, there were several establishments that also planned to host Easter egg hunts. But most of them either cost money to register or not accessible enough to be a part of. And, more likely than not, the true meaning of Easter won't be shared or even acknowledged. We know that parents want to join Easter egg hunts, and we saw that we can tweak a couple of things. So instead of shying away from the idea, we did it ourselves. We made the event free, partnered with the biggest mall in our city to be our venue, and ensured that within the program, the meaning of Easter Sunday will be shared. And hopefully, conversation can be started between the kids and the parents. And even though we did everything we could to market the event, we knew na hindi lahat will know about it. At isa pa, aside from the loot fillers from event sponsors, we will be self-funding this event. Limited lang ang resources and not all who are interested ay mabibigyan ng chance to be a part of it. So we thank God for the venue partnership because it covered our third reason for this event. Number 3, we wanted to strategically place ourselves in position to reach more people. Hosting an Easter egg hunt will bring eyes to the movement. But doing it in the middle of SM during peak hours on a weekend, imagine how many people we can reach and hear about the things we'll be sharing to the kids. So by being aware about where the people are during Easter, what they wanted to do, and maximizing partnerships, we knew that the event would be a success. And also, did you know that these steps are also seen in the Bible? In fact, the similarities from the passage I'll share to the process we went through to pull this event off is so big that it is undeniable that God was with us during the planning process. But if it was a success, why would someone call Easter egg hunts worldly, demonic, or pagan? Let me explain. Why do some Christians celebrate Easter with Easter egg hunts? We all know the true story of Easter. Jesus died, And on the third day, he rose again. And every Easter Sunday, we celebrate that along with the gift of salvation that was given to us freely. But in many pre-Christian societies, egg has an association with spring and new life. So yes, eggs on Easter had pagan connotations. But many pagan traditions from pagan festivals were also adopted by Christian missionaries to celebrate the resurrection of Jesus as a way to encourage conversion. Early Christians adopted these beliefs, making the egg a symbol of new life and resurrection, and the empty shell as the tomb of Jesus. So early Christians can use this event specifically to introduce people to resurrection and bring them to faith, to knowing Jesus, but we can't make it make sense. I mean, Paul himself used a pagan god to introduce Christ to the Greeks, those people who have a god about anything and everything under the sun. Acts 17 verses 16 to 34 is an example on how one's creativity can be used to incorporate the culture to the message and bring Jesus closer to the people. While Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was deeply troubled by all the idols he saw everywhere in the city. Just as we feared that the Easter egg hunts offered in our city wouldn't explicitly open a conversation about the true meaning of Easter, we went on and hosted it ourselves. So like Paul, we went to our public square, referred to in verse 17, and strategically placed ourselves in position to reach more people. When we said that we saw what the public wanted to do during this time, we were referring to verse 21, where it was written, all the Athenians as well as the foreigners in Athens seemed to spend all their time in discussing the latest ideas, the same way that parents during Easter are looking for Easter egg hunt events. When we saw that we recognized the importance of understanding culture to further the mission, we were inspired by verses 22 and 23. So Paul, standing before the council, addressed them as follows. Men of Athens, I notice that you are very religious in every way. For as I was walking along, I saw your many shrines. And in one of your altars had this inscription, to an unknown God. This God, whom you worship without knowing, is the one I'm telling you about. He used their pagan God to introduce the true God. But you ask, if the good news is sufficient, why would Paul use these tactics to show Jesus to them? Maybe because he understood that what he was sharing is new and foreign to them. And he needed something familiar to make it easier to understand. And just as their pagan gods is familiar to the Greeks, so is the Easter egg to the kids. And both can explain the undeserved gift that was freely to them. If Paul can use a pagan god to introduce Christ to them, why couldn't we use an egg to share resurrection and the gift of new life to the kids? Is it because this egg and the event it represents as a history away with Christ? So we call this egg worldly, satanic, and pagan because of its history. Imagine if God uses the same logic to us. Everything we do with our faith has a history. The same way that everything we do in our life has a history. This is the part where it suddenly becomes meta and self-reflective, but we have to do it anyway. The things we do, the way we act, the lessons and scars we have are all a part of our history. And sometimes, even most of the time, it doesn't come from the right history. It might come from disappointments, mistakes, and bad decisions we made along the way. And all of those are compiled in our history and can be used by people who don't know us to judge us. There are people who don't know where we are right now, but will tag us and call us names for what we were, like this egg and its history. What else has history? Who else has history? Teenage parents with kids before marriage, people who are battling confusion about identity and sexuality, a woman living with her third husband, a drunkard father. Imagine all of them in a church, and people knew their history but not their new identity. Funny how a conversation about an egg can turn into a realization about how we treat people with history, how we can ignore the new past it has. You might ask, but Christian, why should we even bother using Easter eggs to teach kids the truth about Easter? I can imagine how many kids are introduced in the church and in Christ when they were promised sweets and candies in a plastic egg one day. I can imagine how many lives have been touched by people with the darkest histories but continued to walk in faith and in their new identities in Christ, despite people around them tagging them for what they were, ignoring what they are. So the next time we catch ourselves judging someone else because of their past, let's remember this simple little egg. How this egg, despite its history, can be used to introduce Christ to those who don't know Him. And if an egg can be used greatly by the Lord, how much more a person with a history walking into his new identity. See you next time on Ano Yun, where we answer every ano yun in our walk with Christ. Bye!